Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. I am Gideon, and today I'm coming at you with my final episode of the Player Spotlight series. My final episode, not the final episode. I believe we have a couple more coming from Gino, guys like Cody and Phoenix. But today we are focusing on the 5A classification here in Colorado football, covering players like Jaxon Pyatt, Enzo Pulte, Mason Bandhauer, Will Monroe, and Angel Chavez. So we're going all over the state here. But first, I'm just going to describe what the Player Spotlight series is. This year, in lieu of the team previews, we decided to cover the different individual players who make these teams as good as they are. So for each of these players, we'll go over their stats from the past couple of seasons, going over their film. We're going to give them an overall grade along with their 3 highest and 3 lowest grades on individual skills, film notes, what offers they may or may not have, and then potential big games this season for any scouts listening out there and anyone who would be interested in these players. So we're gonna have a good time with this all. I believe with these 5 guys, these are 5 of the best players in the whole state, in my opinion, and I really can't wait to go over this. Before we begin, I will say I'm recording this on Saturday, July 26th, so if anyone gets any offers or anything like that after 11:42 on July 26th, then oh well. Sorry, I don't mean to sound callous, but like literally, oh well. All right, we are going to jump straight into this with the one, the only Jaxon Pyatt. So Pyatt is a 6'2", 225-pound linebacker from Arvada West High School. Stats from his career: his freshman year, he had 21 tackles, 6 of which for loss and a sack. His sophomore year, he had 99 tackles, 17 of which were for loss, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 4 pass deflections. His junior year, he had 140 tackles, 18 for loss, 4 sacks, 1 pick, which was also a touchdown, 5 pass deflections, and 3 forced fumbles. Now, Pyatt's film breakdown grade, this is 76.65 out of 95, so if we're looking at that in terms of percentage, that is an 80.68. His 3 highest grades on this scale in terms of frame, he has an 8.5 out of 10. Play recognition is an 8.7 out of 10, and then gap responsibility is 4.3 out of 5. His 3 lowest grades are finesse pass rushing with a 3 out of 5, catching with a 3.5 out of 5, and the third is a tie between block shedding at 3.8 out of 5 and man coverage ability with a 3.8 out of 5. Now, looking at Pyatt's, all of Pyatt's grades, we're going to read through the ones that are scored out of 10 first, and then we'll go back and look at the ones that are scored out of 5. So, on the ones that are scaled out of 10, in terms of frame, 8.5. Versatility is an 8 out of 10. Agility and hip fluidity is an 8.2. And play recognition is an 8.7 out of 10. In terms of the skills that are graded on a 5-point scale, man coverage ability is a 3.8, zone coverage ability is a 4.1, hit power is a 4.2, straight line speed is a 4.1, form tackling is a 4.25, finesse block shedding is a 3.8, power block shedding is a 4.2, power pass rushing is a 4, finesse pass rushing is a 3, gap responsibility is a 4.3, and catching is a 3.5. In terms of the film notes, Pyatt is, this is from Simon, quote, Pyatt is a solid-sized linebacker who is a good athlete, definitely good enough to play on the D1 level. For his size, he can take on bigger blockers and actually does a good job getting leverage and overpowering offensive linemen. He's not afraid to get physical, and Simon thinks it sets a tone when he plays ball. On top of that, Pyatt is a very intelligent football player, being a coach's son in the good way, and that is something you've got to love as well. While Simon doesn't think he's a crazy great coverage linebacker, he is more than serviceable, and the development of his athleticism could continue to strengthen this area. We'd love to see him get bigger and more explosive, but right now he has a lot of the things colleges want in a linebacker: physical, aggressive, and smart. And Pyatt is actually committed to the University of California at Berkeley, yes, Cal, with other offers from Sacramento State, UNLV, San Diego State, Kansas State, CSU, Boston College, Charlotte, Syracuse, Ole Miss, Bowling Green, and UConn. And, I mean, looking at the offers that Pyatt has here, he ended up going with a school that has a really valuable degree for after football. And I think that that is a very good decision that shows Pyatt's decision-making off of the field. He's someone who thinks in the long term and someone the coaches don't have to worry about. And to me, I like a player like that. And so looking at the big games this season for Pyatt, well, the schedule as a whole for Arvado West, opening the year at Fountain Fort Carson. Game 2 against Mountain Range should be an easy win. Then at Fairview versus Legend, at Overland, at Denver South, versus Columbine, versus Denver East, versus Chatfield, and at Ralston Valley. So one of the toughest leagues in the state there. And for the games in particular that I think a college coach, well, he's already committed, but in terms of the best games on this schedule, really that entire league is insane aside. Well, yeah, offensively the entire league is really skilled outside of Denver South, I hate to say. But Columbine, they're a prolific offense, even if it's not the most complicated offense. It is still one that will showcase a lot of Jackson's coverage for run offensive. Denver East is going to be the opposite. They're a very pass-heavy offense with a new 6'4" receiver that should be very interesting to see Pyatt match up against. Chatfield, they have some pretty darn good players over there as well. Ralston Valley as well, honestly, that league is just insane. Legend, they're gaining DJ Bordeaux, and they already had Kellen Marchand. DJ Bordeaux is committed to Boston College, so is what it is there. Fairview with Key Ellison, they've also got a number of good offensive linemen that it will be interesting to see Pyatt match up against. And all around, basically every game on the schedule except for Mountain Range and Denver South should be really interesting. So all around, again, that is Jaxon Pyatt with a percentage of 80.68. Again, the 6'2", 220-pound linebacker. Really, really good player, committed to Cal. Next up, we have an edge rusher, actually from Fairview, which we were just discussing, one Enzo Pulte, standing at 6'5", 220 pounds. Pulte is a skilled edge rusher for the Knights. Now, looking at his stats for the past couple of seasons, his sophomore year, 16 tackles, 5 of which for loss, 2 sacks, and 1 blocked field goal. And his junior year, 49 tackles, 6 for loss, 3 sacks, and 1 field goal block. In terms of his film breakdown score, also, I'm not fully sure if it's Pulte or Pult. I'm just going to go with Pulte to be safe. But his edge rusher film breakdown grade is 76.6 out of 100. His 3 highest grades are frame with an 8.6 out of 10, versatility with an 8.5, and straight line speed with a 4.1 out of 5. In terms of his 3 lowest grades, pass coverage with a 3 out of 5, power run block shedding with a 3.2 out of 5, and the other one is a tie between finesse run block shedding and form tackling with a 3.5 out of 5. In terms of the overall grades for Pulte, again, so frame 8.6 out of 10. We're going on in the categories graded on a 10-point scale first. Versatility is an 8.5. Gap and edge run discipline is an 8 out of 10. Hip power and strip is 7. Agility and hip mobility is 8. And first step is 7.5. Now for the ones graded on a 5-point scale. Finesse pass rushing is a 3.7. Power pass rushing is a 4. Finesse run block shedding is a 3.5. Power run block shedding again is a 3.2. Form tackling 3.5. Straight line speed is a 4.1. Pass coverage is a 3. And play recognition is a 4. Again, cultivating in a 76.6 out of 100 scale grade. Now, in terms of film notes, so both myself and Simon, we think that Enzo will take a significant jump from junior to senior year. He's tall and lean, plays inside and outside, and he displays very solid strength and leverage at 220 pounds, collapsing pockets from the interior spot at times or stopping the run from there. Outside, he's athletic enough to hold down the edge and string out outside runs. Now, Simon and I, he needs to continue to develop into this frame and get more explosive while working on his hand fighting. But the off-season videos that we have seen they have Simon pretty darn excited, and I think I agree as well. Pulte can be due for a big-time senior year that could result in many offers, and you can't teach 6'5", 230 pounds, so he has the potential to be a D1 edge rusher, but we will see where the offers go. In terms of the offers he has currently, we only see one from the Colorado School of Mines, but that is a very good D2 program, so we will see what happens there. And looking at the season schedule for Fairview, they open at Legacy, then versus Arvada West, rivalry game at Boulder, then have a 4A team and Monarch coming up playing at Smoky Hill after that. And then in the league, they will be facing Prairie View, Fort Collins, Brighton, Fossil Ridge, and Rocky Mountain. So the games that we would encourage college coaches to look at here would be first Arvada West. Logan Duacek is a very good quarterback, and I am intrigued by the Arvada West offensive line. It historically a pretty good line, so we will see what Pulte does against that type of competition. Pulte will also likely be the matchup against Mason Bandhauer when playing Fort Collins. Bandhauer, we're actually covering him next, and he is a Iowa State commit. So the film from that game will be very enlightening as to Pulte's abilities. And then at Fossil Ridge, historically a very good offensive line room, and Colton Jantz is looking to be a pretty good quarterback for Pulte to line up against. And so, again, that is Enzo Pulte from Fairview High School, 76.6 out of 100 on the scale. On our scale, that grades him out as a 3-star currently. We will see how he develops into his senior year. Again, can't wait to see what he does with this season. Up next, we actually have the highest graded recruit that I'm going to be covering during the Spotlight series, and that is one Mason Bandhauer, the 6'5", 285-pound offensive tackle from Fort Collins High School. So he's an offensive lineman, so he doesn't have very many counting stats, but he is a multi-year starter for this team, and he was a large part of why this squad made the playoffs last season and why I think they will be a playoff squad again this upcoming year. In terms of his film breakdown grade, he has an overall score of 84.65 out of 100. His three highest grades are pass protection with an 8.7 out of 10, run blocking with an 8.6 out of 10, and strength on the field and in the weight room with a 9 out of 10. His three lowest grades here, and this is very telling for the level of skill he is at. Versatility is an 8 out of 10. Plant step is a 4.1 out of 5. And picking up blitzes is a 4.1 out of 5, which is absolutely insane. In terms of the grade overview, again, looking at first the categories that are graded out of 10. Bandhauer's an 8.4 out of 10 for frame, 8 for versatility, 8.7 for pass protection, 8.6 for run blocking, 8.4 for contact, which is head, shoulder position, and initiation, and then the 9 out of 10 for strength. For the categories that are graded out of 5, hands, we have an 8.35, drop step with a 4.1, reaction time with a 4.3, play recognition, which is finishing blocks, making it to the second level, that is a 4.25, picking up blitzes 4.1, first step 4.15, agility 4.2, and plant step 4.1. So again, that is an 84.65 for Bandhauer, which absolutely insane player, one of the top players in the state this year. And now for the film notes, Bandhauer is a steal from Coach V. Despite only being 285 pounds, he plays with an attitude that you need out of your offensive lineman. He is a nasty blocker in general, and not just in the run, even though he excels there. Once he gets his hands on you, he is going to finish the play. Bandhauer also does a good job of being tactical with his hand placement and is aware enough to avoid holding calls. Simon was very impressed with his film against Fairview specifically. Simon thinks his pass protection can be cleaned up, and he'd like to see Bandhauer become more aware and work his way to the next level, picking up blitzes more, but that is nitpicking level of feedback. He's a really good lineman to have up there, and he will help this Fort Collins team out a lot in his senior year. Bandhauer is obviously a D1 guy, but he could potentially even be better. This is my own personal conjecture, but he's the kind of guy where if you were in the NCAA College Football 26 game, he'd have a little gem right next to his name. In terms of his offers, Bandhauer is committed to Iowa State, where I believe his dad actually played. He is also offered by Wyoming, Washington State, Oregon State, Oklahoma State, Nebraska, Mississippi State, Kansas State, Kansas, CSU, and Boston College. And looking at the schedule for the games he's going to be playing this year, then his the games we're most looking forward to. Fort Collins opens at North Glen, then versus Eagle Crest, versus Poudre, Erie, Fossil Ridge, Horizon, Fairview, Rocky Mountain, Brighton, and Prairie View. The games that I would most like to watch out of that bunch would probably be first against Erie. Now, Coach Geiger has always been a good defensive coach down for the Tigers, and they have very good defensive players to match up against. And otherwise, I would also say Fairview. As we just said, Enzo Pulte is a very good edge rusher, and Fairview has a good defense returning on the whole, so I am looking forward to seeing the film from that matchup. Eagle Crest is another one. Historically, they have some pretty good athletes, though I'm not quite as sure as to the edge rushing and linebacker talent this season. But I know historically they produce some pretty solid athletes. And again, Mason Bandhauer, I have seen him in person multiple times. He is the kind of athlete that you love to see. He's nasty, he's respectful, he knows when to turn it on, he knows when to turn it off, and he'll just pound you into the dirt. He will, and he will not care. He will say, you're going in that dirt, I'll help you stand back up. But this is the kind of athlete that you want on your team. And so again, that is Mason Bandhauer with a film breakdown grade of 84.65. Again, the Iowa State commit. Now we have from Columbine a 6'2", 215-pound edge rusher, one Will Monroe, as our penultimate player in my Player Spotlight series. And now looking at Will Monroe, he has been an impact player for Columbine for the past 2 seasons. His sophomore year, he had 27 tackles and 3 sacks. In his junior year, he had 65 tackles, 11 sacks, and then 2 forced fumbles and 2 fumble recoveries. In terms of his overall breakdown grade, he scored an 81.4 out of 100 there. His 3 highest grades were gap and edge run discipline, 8.6 out of 10, agility and hip mobility with an 8.6 out of 10, and then form tackling is a 4.5 out of 5. So that is a 9 out of 10. In terms of his 3 lowest grades, we have pass coverage at a 3.5, straight line speed at a 3.8 out of 5, and then power run block shedding with a 3.8 out of 5. Looking at all of the scores that Mr. Monroe has here. First, looking at the categories graded out of 10, frame is an 8.1. Again, that is 6'2", 215 pounds. Versatility is an 8. The gap edge run discipline at an 8.6, hit power and strip at an 8, agility and hip mobility at an 8.6, and first step at an 8.2. Looking at the categories graded out of 5, finesse pass rushing with a 4.25, power pass rushing with a 4, finesse run block shedding with a 4.3, power run block shedding with a 3.8, form tackling with a 4.5, straight line speed with a 3.8, pass coverage with a 3, and play recognition with a 4.25. In terms of the film breakdown notes that we have, again, these are from Coach V. Quote, Monroe is a smaller edge rusher in terms of weight, but he displays everything you'd expect out of a light defensive end. He has a good first step and agility, and on top of that, he has displayed that he is a great hand fighter and can get good leverage to display the power he has. Simon thinks there is potential there for him to be really good as far as using power rushing moves. The only thing holding him back is weight and strength, in Simon's opinion. If he continues to develop, then there's no doubt that he can be a D1 edge rusher, and the only thing that can really be criticized is straight line speed, but he's still a very good edge rusher for a lot of college teams. The potential and tools are certainly there. In terms of the offers for Monroe, he has offers from Weber State, Montana State, and an FBS offer from the Air Force Academy. And so that is a very, very good slate of offers for Monroe. Looking at the schedule and the big games this season for Columbine, the Rebels, open the season at Vista Ridge, then at Valor Christian, versus Thunder Ridge, versus Legend, at Fossil Ridge, versus Heritage, versus Denver East, at Arvada West, at Ralston Valley, versus Denver South, and at Chatfield. Even though I'm not fully sure how this 11-game schedule is going to work, the big games that I would look at here, first at Valor Christian. Valor Christian, they have a lot of D1 level offensive tackles. 3, well, not D1, but I mean, they have Cannon Smith, they have Liam Chang, who has an offer from Syracuse. They have Davis Moon, who also has an offer from Syracuse as only a rising sophomore. long story short, Valor has a lot of really good offensive linemen, a lot of good D1 level offensive linemen. They're a very good game to watch. Versus Legend, Gage Turnbull is one of the top offensive linemen in the state as well. And with DJ Bordeaux, it'll be interesting to see how Monroe is able to apply pressure against a Boston College commit. And then Fossil Ridge as well, I think, is going to be a very good game. The Sabercats gave the Rebels a hell of a fight last season, and if the Sabercats are able to put up that kind of fight again, that'll be some good tape for Will Monroe. Honestly, this is just a good player overall, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Monroe does this season and what the Rebels do this year as well. So, again, that is Will Monroe from Columbine High School, the 6'2", 215-pound edge rusher with an 81.4 out of 100 on the grading scale. And now the final player of my personal part of the Player Spotlight series, a quarterback from Overland High School, only a rising sophomore, the only rising sophomore that I'm covering in my Player Spotlights. Standing at 5'11" and 180 pounds, we have Angel Chavez. Now, Chavez, last year as a freshman for Overland, had 1,300 passing yards, 12 touchdowns to 8 picks, 1 rushing touchdown as well, made the playoffs, and won the league championship. Now, granted, the only other good team in that league was Westminster, but still, making the playoffs. They played against Erie. Cody went to that game. They put up a decent enough fight. I think that this is a team that overachieved last year, and Chavez is a big part of why. In terms of the quarterback film breakdown grade for Chavez, also, I'm sorry, I'm not fully sure if it's Chavez or Chavez. I might just fluctuate between the two. But his overall grade here is a 76.4 out of 100. And again, that's only as a freshman. That's better than some seniors that we evaluate. His 3 highest grades, well, there's a tie between short accuracy and decision-making out of structure with 4.2s out of 5. There's another tie here between decision-making in structure and throw on the run power with a 4.1 out of 5, and then timing, which is an 8.1 out of 10. The 3 lowest grades that we have here for Chavez, pocket movement with a 3 out of 5, agility, which is scramble ability, with a 3 out of 5, and then the other is a tie between versatility at 3.5 out of 5, and speed, which is also scramble ability, with a 3.5 out of 5. Now, his overall grades, if we are looking at them, first, the category is graded on a 10-point scale. Frame is a 7.5 out of 10. Timing is an 8.1. Those are the only 2 that are graded on that level, or on a 10-point scale. In terms of the 5 categories that are graded on the 5-point scale, arm velocity, which is spin and spiral, is a 3.7 out of 5. Arm power, which is ability to throw deep comfortably, is a 4. Short accuracy is a 4.2. Medium accuracy is a 4. Deep accuracy is a 3.7. Lower body mechanics is a 3.8. Upper body mechanics at a 4. Decision making in structure 4.1. Decision making out of structure 4.2. Again, that speed and agility scramble abilities 3.5 and 3 respectively. Throw on the run power is a 4. Throw on the run accuracy is a 4. Throw on the run power is a 4.1. Throw on the run accuracy is a 4. Pocket awareness is a 4. Pocket movement is a 3. Scheme versatility is a 3.5. Again, that adds up to 76.4. And as a freshman, that is an amazing score. He has plenty of time to continue to improve each of those skills. And personally, I'm expecting him to be one of the top quarterbacks in the state by his senior year. probably a top, maybe not even a top 3 guy, potentially a top 5 guy in his class. We shall see. In terms of the quarterback film notes, again from Coach V, quote, Chavez had an exceptional freshman year and honestly showed that he is one of the best quarterbacks we've seen as a freshman in recent years. He has impeccable timing on his throws and knows when to get the ball out, anticipating some of them. That is something that really stands out at his age, and you see it when he is throwing deep. Right now, this is probably the weakest his arm will ever be, but he throws with such timing and solid accuracy that it makes up for some of those limitations. On the run, he is an exceptional thrower of the ball as well, seemingly throwing balls with better velocity on the run while also being very accurate. He seems more composed than a lot of varsity starters in the state, and right now, Simon would just like to see him get stronger and continue to refine his mechanics. He lifts his foot when he throws deep, sometimes trying to overcompensate, and even though he's losing a top target, we are excited to see him grow as a quarterback and build on last season. As a rising sophomore, he doesn't really have any offers yet, but in terms of games that we think that coaches should probably watch to see how he develops and see how he looks as an overall athlete. Looking at the Overland schedule, overall, they have games here against, first, Smoky Hill, then we have Vista Peak Preparatory, Fountain Fort Carson, Arvada West, Mountain Vista, Mountain Range, Westminster, Lakewood, Boulder, and North Glen. And so, the best games that I think to assess his ability as a player would be the 3-week stretch of Fountain Fort Carson, Arvada West, and Mountain Vista, and then closing out against North Glen. Now, Fountain Fort Carson, they have a very good DB in Justin Jordan that I think is good at making opposing quarterbacks quite uncomfortable. He's a D1 level player, and I think Fountain Fort Carson should be a playoff team, so we'll see how Chavez reacts to that kind of pressure. Arvada West has very good D2 and D1 level defensive players like Jaxon Pyatt, so I think that'll be a good opportunity to look at Chavez under a different kind of pressure, more on the line. Mountain Vista, they were the number 3 team in the state last year, and they just have an experienced coaching staff with good overall athletes, so I'm intrigued to see how that one goes. And then North Glen, they have a very good edge rusher in Jacob Martin that I think will be a very good pressure on Chavez, so seeing how he responds to that will be telling about how next season looks. I mean, that is the last game of the regular season, but still, I think this team has a chance to win this league and make the playoffs again. And Chavez is a very big reason why. Again, the 5'11", 180-pound quarterback from Overland High School with a 76.4 out of 100 on the grading scale. And believe it or not, that is the last of my player spotlights. Feels weird, but we are here, and the season is creeping up on us day by day. And honestly, I can't wait for it. I mean, we've got a lot of good stuff coming, a lot of good plans for the future, and this is one of the best, one of the most talented classes, the class of 2026, that this state has ever seen. I mean no hyperbole when I say that this state has ever seen. I am not looking forward to the top 5s this year because I know that that Power 5 recruits might be number 6 on their position list. I know that this year is going to be insane. There's a lot of parity in every class except for 5A. Because Cherry Creek is doing their thing. And if you want to hear our coverage of Colorado football this year, both here and with girls flag football, you can follow us. Well, first you can listen to the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts, be it here or be it on Spotify, YouTube, Google, iTunes, whatever you listen to podcasts on. You can also find us on social media. Most platforms, it is Playmakers Corner, Playmakerscorner, Playmakers Corner, or on X, aka more popularly known as Twitter. It's just Playmaker Corner because apparently Playmakers Corner was already taken. I don't know. Regardless, this has been Gideon. I cannot wait to see each and every one of you play this year. Defy all expectations. Do the best that you can as an individual. And I will catch you all here on the flip side. Peace.